But it was probably the size of a Honda Civic. Not very, very large, but
Yeah. No,
it's stuff like that you never put together until later on. At least I didn't. And
I know whenever I pay attention to a lot of that stuff. They've had cases where these saucers have landed, and whenever they take off, the stuff around it doesn't grow up. I remember there was a story of a farmer
yeah,
who
yeah,
who had it happen to him, and then years later, I think his wife, after he had died, his wife and his son, I believe, came forward and told everybody about it. And then there was that case with the police officers where they had the police officer and his partner found that landing site out in the desert.
yeah,
I don't know if you remember hearing those two stories, but that's what that really brings to mind with me. So
yeah.
that's
There's several cases. They said, what was the guy that was cutting the trees down and stuff? Walton, was that his name?
yes,
Walton.
yes, that was him.
They said all the trees around that area started growing towards that spot where it landed at. It actually accelerated the growth of the trees,
Yeah,
and I thought that was very interesting. I know, if you take a section of the woods where grass has grown up and all these weeds and stuff, you set fire to it within just 2-3 weeks, it is green and lush, and as far as you can see across there, and it's almost like it purifies the soil and the dirt and everything, and the plants just take off like gang fire. So it's kind of like that, I guess. But
yeah,
that place that I'm talking about, though, that was probably radioactive,
most
and
likely, most likely.
whatever it did, it had enough power to condense that soil into where it wouldn't absorb water. It was dry. I remember it being dry, and then I was like, well, hell, that's why it wouldn't grow any plants, because it was dry. You know.
The with I tell everybody all the time, don't really try to guess what their power sources are. You know what I mean? Because like you stop and think about it. If these beings are supposed to be so far advanced, they could be using water to freaking fuel their ships to travel. You know what I mean? We don't know. I mean,
Well, there's a steel column over in India, I think it is. There's a big steel pole, kind of ornate. It's been sitting there for thousands of years. It ain't rusted yet, and it's iron.
mm-hmm.
I would have to guess that's the center of a Vermana right there. It's just nobody realizes what the hell it is. And if you get to looking at all their writings and their documents, and they were all talking about flying machines. They go into detail how they worked,
Yep.
and that piece of iron pole in the middle of that ship, that's part of the way they work. And when they start uncovering the mercury, like they uncovered just vast amounts of mercury underneath some of the temples down in Mexico. They discovered the pools of mercury in Egypt. All over the world, anywhere you got a pyramid at, there's a big, vast amount of mercury in it.
Yep.
And even at the end of World War II, the German ships that they captured, they were hauling mercury to South America.
Yep.
The South Pole. Now, what the hell they doing with all that mercury for? I mean, how many thermometers you need to make? What are you doing with it? I mean, it's toxic. You're not going to drink it. You ain't playing with it. So it's got to be a reason to have that. And I've gave a lot of that stuff a lot of thought. And now you find out we've got Murder Incorporated killing everybody that comes up with a free energy machine. And now you find out that, hell, there's people that invented the size of a shoebox would power your house and the whole subdivision. The more you ask out of it, the more it gives you. And no moving parts. It's just pulling the energy out of the ether. And I think that's a lot of the way that these flying craft operate. I don't think they've really got a fuel on anything. I don't think they got to grab water. I don't think they got to grab any of that stuff. Now, they might need some water if they're trying to mine something on the moon or mine something on the planet Mars, or hey, we're going to go take a big, trip over here. We need some water. Yeah, I can see them filling up their ship, tank or whatever. You got to have water to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never heard anybody talk about aliens where they go to the bathroom or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
don't do that about Star Trek either. I mean, nobody
They
knows.
take a pill. They just take a pill. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, well, there goes that stomach ache.
yeah.
Or maybe they just get in front of a little machine that beams it out of them. I don't know.
Now that you bring up World War II, it makes me think of the Foo Fighters that were spotted during air combat. You know, especially with
Yep.
you talking about orbs and everything. That's exactly how they described it too. There were orbs.
Yeah, yeah. There's actual pictures in the newspaper of all those things, and they report them to be the size of a basketball, all the way up to larger. And thinking about the description of them, it matches a lot what I mess with out here in the yard all the time. And I'll send you this link to this video real quick. And this is the first time I discovered them. I didn't know they were there. I had no idea they were there. I was done recording for the night.
Get in
I'll
there.
give you a link to it real quick. But this is my first encounter, my first video with these things. And there was two of them with a mark on the front of them. These are about, after I got a chance to measure them, they're about 2 foot in diameter is how big they are. Perfectly still, just sitting there. I don't believe I sent you this one yet. Did you see the one with the rod on it yet?
Yeah, I did that one a second ago. I showed it on the stream.
Yeah, that rod came out real clear. It's got two windings, one winding in the front, one winding in the back.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going that fast. I slowed it down to 20% speed anyway, but still for a rod, you know how fast those things go.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat because it was probably about 20 feet away when it came over in front of me, and I seen it go by, and I said, "Wow, that's a rod."
Now I
And I
know.
see them all the time. I just don't bother, posting them.
Now I know the story I told you about. I mean, it actually made it to local news, and I mean, if you know anything about all this stuff, which you do, I mean, that's a big deal. And
Yeah. Yep.
if you can make it on local news, that means it caught somebody's attention. So I mean, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Seen the guy. The guy showed up, and he was doing some wildlife photography, and he was using a high-speed camera trying to catch the birds flying across the jungle. And the guy starts running the film, and he's got these objects in there with wings on them. I mean, literally looked like they had wings, like a bow and arrow or something, swirled around the thing. And the more he looked, the worse it got. And then they set up specifically to capture those things, and then they were trying to explain them away. And another scientist comes on there and says, "That's a species of dragonfly." I'm like, well, if that dragonfly flew that fast, his damn wings would burn off. There ain't no way that's a dragonfly.
Yeah.
Because dragonflies are fast, but they're not that fast. And yeah, it's kind of like these orbs. Did you get the link yet?
Yeah, I'm showing it now.
Yeah, this thing, I didn't know they were there, and they were sitting right there, and no telling how long they've been sitting there. Now, the thing about these two orbs is, in the 3 years that I've been video recording, I've never had another orb do this since. So that's the first time I discovered them. And I guess that one orb didn't know what the hell to do. It's probably like, man, that dude could see it. I hit it with a laser beam. I did everything to it. I did everything to throw a football at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see through both of them. They're translucent.
Yeah,
And
you can clearly see right through them even on the video.
Yep. If it was a piece of dust or a bug or whatever, the laser would have lit it up.
Mm-hmm.
It would have reflected on the laser. It would have been a green, the green laser would have done it. And I did a test with them. I took the burning laser out in the yard, and it's real strong. It'll burn the wings off a fly really quick. Now, I didn't turn it on. I just set it next to me. And there wasn't no orbs.
That's right.
I did that several nights in a row, and I said, wow, you guys really know what this is. And soon as you put it away, there they are. They're right there back in the yard again.
Always look.
I know one thing. Once John gets on and starts seeing this video, you're gonna get him fired up. He used to love getting video footage like this. He would just sit for hours and hours editing and make it to where it would look nice
Yep.
and stuff.
Yep.
Like,
Mine, I'm kind of crude with mine. I just put it up there. I make a point not to modify anything, you know?
yeah,
I change the speed to where people can actually see it, because some of the videos, I mean, you got to face it, it happens so fast, you really can't tell what that is. But when you slow it down, then you realize, hell, that thing just did a turn. It's got a top on it.
mm-hmm.
So
I know with John, he had the same kind of thought with it, you know, on
Yep.
because he didn't want to modify everything. He wanted it to stay as original as
yeah, yeah,
it
that's
could.
what you want. Yeah.
And like I said, you know, before the stream started, whenever he did that, everybody kept saying, "Well, you need to put something on it," and he wanted to do it, but everybody on the channel had an issue with that, you know, because they feel the same way, you know, but like talk on it at least, you know, have a conversation. And what they ended up doing is they told him the fair use thing didn't apply because he didn't alter it in some way.
Yeah. Well, we had a guest here at the house he was here right at 5 months, and you've seen him if you watch the Discovery Channel or History Channel or any of that stuff, and the UFO especially.
Mm-hmm.
He was on, I think the last programs that I seen him on was Lost in Alaska or something like that, Alaskan UFO file. I forget what the name of it was, but he was on that, and he got down here because where he was at was just with the COVID-19 and stuff. A lot of people in the Hollywood and a lot of those shows just quit. They quit filming because of COVID-19. Well, he wasn't doing anything better, so I got him down there. He probably had I don't know how many $1,000s worth of equipment. He had the biggest Celestron I've ever seen, you know, personally. I've been up close to. He had the high definition one with the full spectrum $6,000 camera, Nikon on the end of it, hooked to a Starlink on the end of the telescope, and it was filtered down. So he'd been capturing objects for 21 years. So he was well, you know, rehearsed in, you know, what this object was, what this object did. And second day he was here, that first video with that large UFO was over the house. And I just assumed he was helping me film. I didn't know he ran back to the house and locked himself in. He was terrified the second day he was here. And we were thinking, well, maybe he thought I was kidding over UFOs in the yard.
Yeah. That's why I tell everybody, you know, just because you see them on TV and they're all brave and everything, going into the haunted houses and stuff like that, don't fall for that stuff, you know what I mean? Because you get them into the real world and all of a sudden they get scared, you know.
Well, the question I asked him was funny. He's got over 3,000 videos up on YouTube.